Hi friends, once again I'm here to connect you all through online classes. Before I start my lesson, I want to refresh your minds with some amazing facts so that you develop interest towards the subject. Shall we start, students? And every video of mine henceforth you'll be having few amazing facts which will really develop interest in you to learn the concept in a better way. Shall we start? Okay, the first amazing fact is how many times do we blink in our lifetime? Students, you sometimes even don't know whether you're blinking or not. You know how many times you blink your eyes in your lifetime? On an average, a woman blinks around 373,668,750 times. Really, what an amazing fact. And average man blinks around 348,757,500 times. Really, what an amazing fact. And the second amazing fact is how many muscles are there in our body. You know, children, how many muscles are there to bring about contraction and relaxation in our body? There are around 600 skeletal muscles. Really, what an wonderful fact about our body. And the third one, how many nerves are present in our nervous system which brings about control and coordination? There are around, you believe or not children, there are over 7 trillion nerves in our body. Really, what a shocking fact to know about our body. There are around 7 trillion nerves in our body. And the fourth one, how many types of smell your nose can detect? You know children, our nose can detect only the good smell. Okay, we don't like bad smell. You know how many times how many types of smell our nose can detect? Our nose can detect 1 trillion smells. Wow, what an amazing fact. Our nose can detect around 1 trillion smells. And the last question for today's amazing fact is, what is the memory capacity of your brain? Children, anytime you thought about your brain, what is the memory capacity of your brain? If I ask you what is the memory capacity of your phone, you are very happily you remember the capacity, that is 60 GB, 100 GB. But you know what is the memory capacity of your brain in terms of GB, gigabytes? 2.5 million GB. Wow, what an amazing fact. 2.5 million GB, and it can even store the memory capacity of around 4.7 million books. Information can be stored in a brain. 4.7 million books information, and also 2.5 million GB. Really, we should be very thankful to God for giving such a wonderful brain capacity. Okay students, if you want more amazing facts, you have to wait for my next video. We shall learn about transportation in man. In the previous video, we learned about transportation in plants through ascent of sap and organic translocation, and I hope you have understood. And in this video, we are going to learn about transportation in man. The transportation in man has two systems, that is blood circulatory system and lymphatic system. So blood circulatory system involves what you are going to study under blood circulatory system: blood vessels and heart. You are going to learn about blood vessels and heart. In lymphatic system, you are going to learn about lymph vessels and lymph nodes. We shall learn about blood. What is blood? Blood is a fluid connective tissue. Yes, blood gives internal support to the body. So we call blood as a fluid connective tissue. And what are the composition or what are the constituents of blood, children? In the blood, we see so many types of components found in the blood. So first basic component, which is around 55%, that is plasma, and 45% of RBC is present, and 1% of WBC and platelets are found. So first we shall learn about plasma. So plasma is a basic matrix found in the cells, blood cells. So we can see this. Plasma consists of 90% of water, 68% of proteins, 1% of electrolytes, and also some amount of hormones, amino acids, glucose and waste. And basically plasma consists of 90% of water. This is the function of plasma, where it keeps the blood always watery and fluid. Okay, and also helps in transportation of materials. So that is the function of plasma. And when you come to RBC, red blood corpuscles or erythrocytes, You can see this red blood corpuscles or erythrocytes have a pigment called hemoglobin. Heme means iron containing pigment which gives color to the blood, and globin means protein. So this red blood corpuscles have hemoglobin and also proteins which help in clotting of blood. So whatever it is, RBC plays an important role for exchange of gases. They carry in oxygen to the cells and also bring back carbon dioxide. And other than that, what is the lifespan of RBC? RBC's lifespan is only for 120 days. And what is the structure of RBCs? RBCs are biconcave. And you have to remember, children, they are circular, biconcave, without nucleus. You have to see, without nucleus. They don't have nucleus, they are anucleate. So what is the function of this anucleate characteristic in RBC is, because of absence of nucleus, there is large absorption of oxygen or large area for absorption of oxygen, and hemoglobin is provided in the RBC cells. If there is nucleus, because of nucleus, less absorption of oxygen. Because there is no nucleus, more absorption of oxygen is present in RBC. So that is that's why RBCs don't have nucleus. And you know what is the function? Exchange of gases. And you know where they are produced? They are produced in the bone marrow. Then we come to WBC, white blood corpuscles or leukocytes. So leukocytes, you can see, they have nucleus. They are irregular in shape and they have nucleus. Okay. And what is the function of WBCs? Are they help in providing immunity to the body. They are also called as soldiers of our body. They act like phagocytes in engulfing the foreign bodies that enter into our body and destroy them, and also they help in production of antibodies. So antibodies are immunity producing structures which help in destroying the foreign bodies that enter into our body. So the function of WBC is providing immunity and fight against disease causing germs that enter into our body. Understood, children? That is about WBC. What are about platelets? Platelets are minute structures, okay, which are found because of the when two bones crash, we can see the production of their bits of cells, and we call them as platelets. So what is the function of platelets? Platelets are very less in the blood, very less amount of platelets, that is only 1%. But what is the function? They help in clotting of blood. That is the function of platelets. They help in clumping. If any cut or injury takes place, the blood is immediately made to become hard, and that process we call it as clotting, and that is because of the proteins found in the blood, that is fibrinogen and prothrombin. These two helps in clotting blood. If we have any cut or wound, okay, when the cut or wound or that part is exposed to the atmosphere, immediately there is release of proteins, and these proteins come and entacle near the cut or where there is cut or injury and form a network, and that forms clot, and this process is called clotting, and that is done with the help of platelets. Now we shall learn about blood vessels. We have learnt about blood. Now we shall learn about blood vessels. Blood vessels are tubular structures which carry blood through tissues and organs. What are blood vessels? They are the tubular structures. They are tube-like structures which carry blood between the tissues and organs. That means they take the blood in between the tissues and organs. The oxygenated blood is also carried, as well as deoxygenated blood also is carried. So the blood vessels help in carrying the blood through tissues and organs. They carry in order to carry oxygenated blood, or in order to carry oxygen, and also bring back deoxygenated blood. So that is the function of blood vessels. So we have three types of blood vessels, children. The first is arteries. Okay, arteries, veins and capillaries. We'll see what are arteries. Arteries carry oxygenated blood or oxygen rich blood from the heart once the blood is purified. Okay, so that purified blood is carried from the heart to all the tissues of the body. Okay, what are arteries? Arteries carry oxygenated blood or oxygen rich blood or pure blood from the heart to all the parts of the body, except pulmonary artery, children, except pulmonary artery. Remember, only one artery which carries deoxygenated blood or which carries impure blood, that is pulmonary artery. Okay, now comes to the veins. Veins carry deoxygenated blood from all the parts of the body to the heart for purification. So what are veins? Veins carry deoxygenated blood from all the parts of the body to the heart except pulmonary vein. This pulmonary vein receives oxygenated blood. Here pulmonary artery receives takes deoxygenated blood from the heart to the lungs for purification. Here pulmonary vein, only one vein which receives oxygenated blood from heart. It takes the oxygenated blood from the heart to other parts of the body, or from the heart to the, we can say, to the aorta for distribution. Understood? So veins carry deoxygenated blood from all the parts of the body to the heart except pulmonary vein. And what about capillaries? These are very minute blood vessels. These bring nutrients and oxygen to the tissues and also removes waste products. So what is the function of capillaries, or what are capillaries? These are also type of blood vessels which bring nutrients and oxygen to the tissues. So they will be in between arteries and veins. Actually capillaries connect arteries and veins, and what they do, they bring nutrients and oxygen to the tissues and also removes waste products. Understood, children? Now we can see with the diagram how are arteries, veins and capillaries connected. If this is the artery and vein is connected with the capillaries, and if you see here only you can differentiate between arteries and veins. Arteries are thin walled whereas veins are thick walled, and arteries inside the cavity inside, we call it as lumen. Okay, the diameter or the cavity inside is very narrow, whereas in veins it is very wide. And here in arteries you don't find walls at all. Walls are nothing but these are present in the blood vessels to prevent backward flow of blood. Once the blood is moving, if the blood is moving from higher level to lower level, no veins, but here arteries carry pure blood from the heart to all the parts of the body. So there you don't see veins. In arteries we don't find veins, but you don't find valves. But in veins we can see from all the parts of the body the deoxygenated blood is taken to the heart. So there, to prevent backward flow of blood, valves are present. So we can differentiate between arteries, veins and capillaries. In arteries you don't have valves. In veins we see the presence of valves, and in capillaries no valves. Understood, children? So these are the differences. And one more difference is arteries carry oxygenated blood, veins carry deoxygenated blood. Now we shall learn about the structure and function of the heart, or the mechanism of the heart. So heart, the size of the heart is roughly one's own fist, and in men the weight of the heart is around 230 to 340 grams, and in women it is around 230 to 280 grams, and it is situated in the chest cavity or thoracic cavity slightly towards left. Now heart is protected by a protective membrane called pericardium, which protects the heart from mechanical shocks and injuries. And we can see heart is divided into 4 chambers: right atrium, right ventricle, left atrium or atria, and left ventricle. Right atrium and right ventricle is the right heart. Left atrium and left ventricle is the left heart. In between there is a separation between from right side to left side. We call it as septum. And we can see at the right side of the heart receives deoxygenated blood or pure blood from all the parts of the body, and the left side of the heart receives pure blood which is purified in the lungs and it's supplied to the right side of the body. So left side receives the deoxygenated blood and right side receives the oxygenated blood. So at the right side we can see valves. Valves are the structures which help to prevent backward flow of blood, and here we can see tricuspid valve which separates right atrium from right ventricle. And you can see right side superior vena cava and inferior vena cava, through which through which the deoxygenated blood is supplied. And once the blood is supplied at the right side, at the same time we can see simultaneously even the blood is supplied towards the towards the left side. We can see right side and the left side of the heart go together, they work together. From right side impure blood and from the left side pure blood will be pumped to the heart. So when we see, then what is the mechanism of the heart? When we see the mechanism of the heart, the impure blood or the deoxygenated blood which comes to the pump through superior and inferior vena cava to the right atrium, it is right atrium, that means the right atrium relax. When the right atrium relax, the blood, impure blood from superior and inferior vena cava enters into the right atrium, and when the from the right atrium it comes to right ventricle, it is pushed to the right ventricle. That is, when the right atrium contracts, the blood is pumped to the right ventricle. Again, when from right ventricle, when it contracts, so you have to remember students, here right atrium when it relax, and the same time when the left atrium relax. So here right atrium and left atrium, when they relax, from the right side the impure blood enters, and from the left side the pure blood. From the left side, in the sense that is the pulmonary veins from the lungs. I told you veins carry impure blood, but here pulmonary vein is the only vein which carries pure blood from the lungs to the left atrium. And at the same time, here we can see the right atrium receives impure blood. So here right atrium relaxes and left atrium relaxes. Here from the lungs the pure blood is pumped into the left atrium, and from superior and inferior vena cavas the impure blood is pumped to the right atrium. So once the blood pumps here, the right atriums, both the atriums contract so that the blood moves to the right ventricle. Here the impure blood is pumped to right ventricle and the pure blood is pumped to the left ventricle. Once the blood comes to the ventricles, what happens here is they contract. When they contract or squeeze, the impure blood from the ventricle, left ventricle, is pushed into the pulmonary arteries, and pulmonary arteries take them to the lungs for purification. Understood, students? This is how the impure blood from the pulmonary arteries carry pure blood. Only pulmonary artery which carries the impure blood or deoxygenated blood to the lungs for purification. And at the same time, here also your right ventricle contracts, here also left ventricle contracts, and the pure blood is pumped into the aorta, and from aorta it is distributed to all the parts of the body. Understood, children? This is the mechanism. First is when the atriums relax. When the atriums relax, the impure blood or the deoxygenated blood enters into the right side, the oxygenated blood enters into the left side. Again, when the atrium contracts, the impure blood from the right side enters into right ventricle, the pure blood from the left atrium to the left ventricle. And again the ventricles contract, the impure blood is pumped to the pulmonary arteries, and pulmonary arteries take them to the lungs for purification, and from the ventricles it is pumped into the aorta. From aorta it is distributed to all the parts of the body. This is how the mechanism of the functioning of the heart takes place. First contraction, and then when they open, the blood is pumped, and again when these contract, the blood is made to move to the pulmonary artery to the lungs for purification, and left ventricle pumps to the aorta, and aorta to all the parts of the body. I hope, children, you have understood the mechanism of the heart. At right side you have tricuspid valve, left side you have bicuspid valve. These valves help to prevent the backward flow of when the blood is moving upwards. So to prevent backward flow of blood, these valves are present. Understood, students? We have learnt about how the circulation or transportation of blood takes place. when the blood is made to move from the heart to the lungs for purification, we call it as pulmonary circulation. There are two types of circulation. One is pulmonary circulation and the other one is systemic circulation. When the blood is made to move, the impure blood which is pumped to the right side is made to move to the lungs for purification through pulmonary artery, we call it as pulmonary circulation. After purification, the blood is pumped to the right side of the heart, to the left side of the heart. From the left side, it is pumped to the aorta, and to the aorta, it is distributed to all the tissues of the body. This is called systemic circulation. So, in systemic circulation, the pure blood is pumped from the lungs to the heart and from the heart to the tissues of the body. This is called systemic circulation. Okay, children, you know what is the difference between pulmonary circulation and systemic circulation? Pulmonary circulation is from the heart. The impure blood or deoxygenated blood is pumped from the heart to the lungs for purification. In systemic circulation, from the lungs, the pure blood is pumped to the left side of the heart, from there to the aorta, and that is to the tissue, from the aorta to the tissues of the body. This is called systemic circulation. So systemic circulation and pulmonary circulation together, we call it as double circulation. So what is double circulation? The blood is made to pump to the heart, or the blood is made to move to the heart twice. Once through from the heart to the lungs once, and the second one from the lungs to the heart and to the tissues. So twice the blood is moving two times to the heart. This is called double circulation. The movement of the blood twice to the heart, we call it as what? Double circulation. Okay, students, and we can see that I told you when the chambers, especially the right atrium, when the auricles contract, that is chambers of the heart muscles, when they contract, we call it as systole or systolic contraction. And when the chambers of the heart, that is, I told you, when the ventricles, when the auricles relax, so that is called diastole. So we call it as diastolic movement or systolic movement. Systolic movements when the chambers of the heart contract. When they contract, so that the impure blood moves to the pulmonary artery to the lungs, and the pure blood from the left ventricles move to the aorta. This is called contraction. So when the chambers of the heart contract, we call systolic movement. When the chambers of the heart relax, we call it as diastolic movement. So the relaxation rate should be 80 mm per Hg, and the systolic rate should be 120 mm per Hg. And the instrument to use this, we call it as blood pressure. When the blood is made to move from the left ventricle to the aorta and from the aorta to the arteries, a pressure is created at the walls of the arteries. This is called blood pressure. To measure the blood pressure, we use an instrument called sphygmomanometer. And the sphygmomanometer, systolic movement should be 120 mm per Hg, and the diastolic movement should be 80 mm per Hg. And this one systole and one diastole together, we call it as heartbeat. We have come to the last part of the lesson, that is transportation, that is lymphatic system. So we have learned the transportation of materials in human beings takes place in two ways. That is, one is circulatory system, we have learned, that is blood. In lymphatic system, what are the materials distributed to the different parts of the body? So first thing, what is lymphatic system? Lymphatic system is a network of vessels. It is a network of vessels in which the lymph is drained, or the lymph is filtered from where? From the tissues to the blood. So it is a network of vessels in which the lymph or the colorless fluid is drained from tissues to blood. So once the blood is squeezed into the blood capillaries, the remaining fluid, okay, that fluid we call it as lymph, and that will be drained from the tissues to the lymphatic vessels, that is called as lymph. You all understood, children? Now what is the function of lymphatic system? It's one of the important system in our body to remove the toxic substances and unwanted substances from our body. You should know some of the lymphatic organs, children. What are those lymphatic? One or two lymphatic organs is, one is bone marrow, then one more is spleen, then thymus, then tonsils. Okay, these are the some of the lymphatic organs which help in taking these unwanted substances. Okay, where the lymph will drain all the unwanted substances in these organs. Okay, these organs help in removing the waste substances from our body, and the whole system we call it as lymphatic system. So what are the parts of lymphatic system is lymphatic vessels and lymph nodes. Now, as I told you, lymph is a colorless fluid which contains basically WBC, which are the immunity producing substances, and they are called as soldiers of a body. Okay, so that fluid, colorless fluid, is called as lymph, and if that lymph flows through the thin tubes, we call it as lymphatic vessel. The tubes through which the lymph flows is called as lymphatic vessel, and throughout the lymphatic system we find a small number of small swellings. Okay, and these swellings only we call, especially around the neck we can sense and see, under the arm we can sense and see small swellings. Those are called as lymphatic nodes. So lymphatic nodes are the indicators to prove that our body has less immunity or our body has some infection. These lymph nodes start swelling and gives us indication. Okay children, and next we'll see the last part of the lesson, that is blood and lymph. So what is the difference between blood and lymph? As you know, blood is colored, that is because of the pigment hemoglobin. In lymph we don't find any colored pigments, it's a colorless fluid, and we can see blood is with the proteins, lymph doesn't have any proteins, and we can say that blood is concerned to circulatory system, lymph is concerned to lymphatic system. And in case of blood, the function is exchange of gases. In lymph it helps in producing immunity. Okay students, this is the end of the lesson. Now we will come to the assignment part of the lesson. Actually in the previous video I have given about transportation in plants. For that I have not given any questions children. Please take down the questions. The first question is, how is transportation of materials in plants, or name the types of transportive methods in plants, that is organic translocation and ascent of sap. Okay, what is how is transportation of materials in plants? Name the types of it. First question, how is transportation of materials in plants? Name the types of it. And how are the materials made to move in lower organisms? So in lower organisms, how are the materials? As I told you, by simple diffusion and through water vascular system. And the next one is differentiate between ascent of sap and organic translocation. Now we'll come to this part of the video, that is transportation in human beings. Name the types of transportation in man. Name the types of transportation in man. And the next one is draw neat label diagram of human heart. Draw neat label diagram of human heart. And the next one is differentiate between systemic and pulmonary circulation. Differentiate between systemic and pulmonary circulation. And the next one, differentiate between blood and lymph.